Hi folks, Slick Slicers here. This is an open tag that Paddy did for if you could make your first video again, knowing what you know now, what would you do? Well, my very first video was on travel bags. A company called Tom Bin up in Seattle in Washington used to send bags to me in the UK, and I would use them because I was a frequent flyer. And then I would do little video reports on them and write articles for their website about the quality and the way they fitted onto seats and planes and all sorts of riveting stuff. But 30-odd thousand people decided they'd like to watch them, so they did. Anyway, I stopped all that a few years ago when I stopped being so much of a frequent flyer. Got dogs. But in November last year, I decided to start up again with pocket knives because I'd been talking to Paddy Potato Peelers, and there was a case of, I've got a knife like that, but he'd say, well, show me, and I'd say, well, don't know how really. So I started a wee channel up again, and did that in November. I doubt it will ever be I'm never going to have 1 million subs, because why would anybody be interested in UK legal carry pen knives when our rules are so ridiculously tight, unless you have a general interest in slip joint knives, or you're in the UK and you want to know what you can legally put in your pocket. Because in the old days I would carry something perhaps like this, a little, what is that, 1.5 inch blade or something like that in my pocket, and then somewhere about my person or in my bag I might have my Buck Alpha Hunter or my 940 or something. But now our rules are so ridiculous, you can't do that. So I thought, even this little 1 inch blade is now illegal because it has the temerity to actually lock open and want to save your fingers. But there we are where we are. Now, I could just go on about it and start carrying big knives and just hope I don't get arrested. And to be honest, it would appear from latest crime statistics in Britain that very few people actually get sent to jail. Even repeat offenders seem to get away with it more often than perhaps they ought. So I thought I'd show some of the knives that people can carry. These here were the first ones I did because I am British and these knives are made in Britain, they're made in Sheffield. But since then I've gone on to show things like GEC knives from America, traditional knives this one's from Germany, but I could equally, that's obviously what's known as the sodbuster pattern now, but I could have produced a case one who own the name sodbuster. And then in recent times I've also picked up a couple of knives which are, quite interesting, actually good knives to carry. This being one, the Manly Wasp, which is made in Bulgaria or Hungary. It was one of those. S90V, it's plain, it's simple, it's G10, nested, skeletonized steel liners, nice and light. 3-inch blade, so it's short enough to be legal, but it's big enough to be useful. And just in the last couple of weeks, a new version of the Spyderco UK PK, UK pen knife that is, came along. Again, sub 3-inch blade, slip joint. This one has the added advantage that for somebody with my very poor dexterity, my right hand is almost paralysed and my left one is partly paralysed. It's still relatively easy to open even whilst looking through a camera, which I cannot say for any of the traditional nail nick knives. Now, not to say I can't open them, but I can't do it looking through the camera. I have to have a look, see what I'm doing, but can be done. So would I have made it any different? Probably not. Would I have made it different to my first attempt today? Definitely. Because today I knocked this cup of coffee across the table, straight across, enter stage left, exit stage right, and flooded the whole lot. So I've just had to clean it all up, mop the floor, clean all the knives, put them back out on display. So I wouldn't do that. Now, a couple of other things. Last week, Big Red EDC. This is one of his stickers. The other one, which is a bit covered in coffee, I'm afraid now, but the other one is there. He sent me a knife last week, which is this, which is just about legal in the UK. I'll put it there. It's called the Bushmaster. It has a blade of just north of 3 inches, but the cutting edge is just south of 3 inches. So we go with it. Anyway, he sent me that. He does a weekly spot on a Saturday night live spot where people log on and have a chat. And I've seen it once before, but it's normally at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. So I usually miss it and catch up on a Sunday. Anyway, last week he was stopped because he didn't have 1,000 subs, and that's the new rule for YouTube. You need to have 1,000 subs. If you haven't, you can't do a live stream. I suppose it's to stop jihadists and mosques live streaming their massacres. And if that is the case, and if it works, well, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Anyway, Paddy Potato Peelers and Zach Stuff put out shouts to try and get him over the 1,000. I did a couple of videos last week for him to try and get him over the 1,000 as well. I'm sure my contribution was rather less substantial than Zach and Paddy's, but you know, might have got a couple of subs. Now, don't worry too much about that. He's over the 1,000 now. That's great. People are watching him. They're seeing his videos, and I'm sure it will grow rapidly because he's a good guy. Good enough to send me a knife and a couple of stickers and a little red band. Anyway, why am I telling you all this? Is he's already got the 1,000 subs, and in some ways it doesn't matter. Well, it still matters. Anyway, last night Paddy did a shout out for me. Now, why anybody would be that interested in me, I don't know, but some people clearly are, because I do have some nice knives. I've got things like the De Villiers, a couple of De Villiers knives, and you know, lots of all UK legal knives. I've got about 50 or so of them, different things from, I've got a few Swiss Army knives through to, you know, the top end here, handcrafted British knives, small batch American knives, large batch American knives, large batch, it's actually made in America as well. And my favourite knife, which I haven't got to hand, which is really surprising, is the Enzo PK70, which if you haven't got one already, you should try and get one ASAP, because they have suddenly become, I think they've switched their materials that they manufacture them from, here it is, well here's one of them, to, this one was made out of carbon fibre. I think the current batch are made out of unobtainium, because quite frankly you cannot get one for hen's for love nor money. They're like hen's teeth at the moment. It's my favourite UK everyday carry knife. This one, or I prefer the one with G10 and titanium, but I can't find out where to buy them from at all now. So if you haven't got one and you see one advertised and you're in the UK and you want the best UK everyday carry knife, buy one now while you still can. And incidentally, I don't get paid for that. I bought these two with my own money. They cost me a lot of money, but I just think they're that good that if you're a UK knife user, you should have one. And that means getting one now. The full flat grained ones, that is. They do them in D2 with a Scandi blade. I wouldn't recommend that as an everyday carry knife. But the flat ground S30V Enzos are absolutely brilliant. So anyway, if you do want to sub to my channel, I'm more than happy to have you here. Very keen to have you here. We after Paddy's shout out yesterday, I got an extra 18 or so, I think, just during the hour that he was on. I haven't looked this morning, so I don't know how many are on. But anyway, just thought I'd do this quick video. Seems to be a bit rambling and longer than I normally would do, but nonetheless, thank you for watching if you've got this far, and if you've subbed, brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Likes are nice, and if you want to put a comment, tell me what you think of this. I'm fairly thick-skinned for reasons I don't want to go into here, but I am fairly thick-skinned, even if physically rather fragile. Thank you very much. Bye.